Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Claude and the Banstas for this Tuesday afternoon podcast with Craig from Anfield Agenda. Craig, how you doing, mate? Hope you're really well.
I'm all right, Terry. How are you?
I'm fantastic, mate. What about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little bit tired. I've gotten to this really strange sleeping pattern of like going to bed at like 7 in the morning and waking up at like 3. It's odd, man. The whole family's on this weird sleeping pattern because no one's in school, and you know the days are longer and darker, and it just feels like we're all vampires at this point.
I've got to say, Craig, not only that, I mean, great news for you. Every where I see now, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, your face is everywhere, mate. So, you know, I can imagine that the workload is getting a load more. Obviously, you've got aspirations of doing a load more stuff, which I know about, you know, backstage. And the only way is up, it seems, for Anfield Agenda, yourself and Connor, mate.
Yeah, well, look, we've been very fortunate. We've had a couple of moments that have gone our way, and we've had some nice people who've helped us along the way. And look, like everybody else, you know yourself, it's a grind, and it's been 2.5, 3 years, and we don't feel like we're owed anything if things go our way. And it's great that people are starting to look past the clips now and see that there are people here, and you know that I'm not actually that bad of a person. I can be a bit of an asshole at times, of course, like everyone else with banter, but it's been a good few weeks, buddy, and it's been inspiring. And you know, you try to use your platform for good. I've seen you do it before, trying to raise money for certain things. At the moment, we're trying to raise money for a young man who's almost 3, who's in dire need of a liver transplant. He's got a month to go, and the family needs to raise about 800 grand, mate. It's soul destroying, and it puts everything into perspective when you see what first world little problems we all really have.
Listen. Send us the link for that, and then we can retweet it out, mate. Get the word out there, because obviously everything helps at the end of the day, Craig.
Absolutely, it's a terrible story, mate. He was born premature, and I'll give you just a quick rundown. And one of our subscribers is his uncle, and they're a Polish family, but this guy's living in America, and the operation couldn't be performed in Poland because of the specialist surgery needed, and they sent the family to Brussels, and Brussels thought at first that they could do the operation, take part of the father's liver and give it to the son, but unfortunately they deemed it too risky. So the family frantically searched around the world, and they found a children's hospital in Chicago that were willing to perform the operation. But as we all know, American healthcare is very expensive, and the operation cost $1.8 million. Now, the hospital kindly gave a grant of $1 million towards the procedure and the travel costs and stuff like that. So the family are trying to raise the last $800,000 before the child's due to travel for the operation on the 1st of March. So other than that, mate, honestly, he probably has weeks to live past that. So, you know, you're a father, I'm a father, and I can't imagine what it could possibly be like to be in that scenario. So, you know, as you said, we're just trying to share the link. We're trying to just get as many people aware of the situation as we can. And, you know, people have always been very kind. Even if it's just sharing it, it just could catch the right person's eye.
Yeah, no, exactly, mate. And look, all our fingers crossed and thoughts and prayers going out to the family, mate. And anything that we can do to help, you know that we will do that. And we will definitely start plugging that for you, mate. And let's help try and raise that money for that poor little boy, because, like you said, we're both fathers, mate. And you don't even want to think about anything like that, mate. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's terrible at the end of the day, mate. So hopefully, touch wood, which is a lot of wood in there, we can try and help out, mate.
Fingers crossed, pal. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Right. Let's get straight to it, Craig. Going by the title, you're one of the biggest Liverpool fans out there that I know, mate. I love your passion when you're doing the watch-alongs. You're not biased in any way in my eyes. You give great commentary. But is the title challenge over for Liverpool for this season, do you think?
Yeah, look, mate, I mean, I cannot speak for every fan, and everybody is entitled to dream and have their own wishes and aspirations. But in my opinion, yes, of course, it's gone. I mean, I didn't think we were in the race even going into the City game, and to be humbled and beaten on our own patches as well as we were beaten by a very good Manchester City side, then yeah, it's over. We're in a top 4 race, and we've no right. We have no God-given right to deserve top 4. We've got to earn it like every other club, and it's time to knuckle down now. And the guys need to secure Champions League football, and the club needs to do a bit of business in the summer and refresh things, because I think you know, it's very difficult to sit here and criticize a group of players that have delivered what they've delivered to us over 3 or 4 years. And you know yourself, football runs in cycles, and it seems like maybe some of these guys are mentally and physically fatigued and we need to refresh things a bit. But I won't throw anyone under a bus, mate, and there's no hate from me. It's just, I think, the end of this cycle. But you know, we're still in the Champions League this season. Anything can happen there, and it's good to see a competitive league as well. I have to say, it is good to see so many clubs fighting, and it is a strange old time with no fans for everybody, and it must be strange for the players as well. And I can't imagine what all the managers and staff of all clubs are going through with mental fatigue at this point.
Yeah, I mean, my only trouble with it was because obviously we've got a few Liverpool fans in here. Obviously, come over from yourself, Craig, when we first started, which was great. I mean, Jake and there's a couple of others, and they kept asking me at the beginning of the season, like, what's your opinion on Liverpool's chances of regaining the title? For me, I went for Man City for the simple fact is that I just didn't think you bought a marquee player in to give competition to the players that you already got, if you know what I mean. But, listen, I mean, Jota, he's come in and he's been injured, hasn't he? Is he still injured?
He's been out with a knee injury for the past 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah. I just think that's, you know, obviously with the Champions League, when you won the Champions League, fantastic. When you won the league title, fantastic. But it just seems like it's them three up top all the time, if you know what I mean. Mane, Salah and Firmino. I just think you need someone up there that's going to challenge for their positions week in and week out. So, you know, someone that's going to fight to stay in that team, if you know what I mean. Because for me, them three automatically pick their names for that starting 11. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, look, it's tough because we brought Jota in. He hit the ground running. He was phenomenal. We brought Thiago in, and we haven't got to see the best of him for varying reasons. But you know, I'm not using this as an excuse because I still think we would have been as exhausted as we are. But to lose your 3 starting centre backs all season, to have Alisson out at the start of the season, to have Oxlade-Chamberlain, we've had injuries. But look, every club has injuries. That's not an excuse. We are a big enough club that we should have strength and depth. And when you look to the bench, and as you said now with Jota out, when I see Divock Origi coming off the bench, that's with everything he's achieved and done for our club in big moments. He isn't Firmino, he isn't Mane, he isn't Salah. So there is an argument there, and we were always told that this summer was going to be that summer. So, you know, let's wait and see what happens. But look, I've always said whoever wins the league title after 38 games deserves it. You don't accidentally win a league title. And Manchester City have quietly gone about their business. They've put together 13 or 14 wins in a row now. And, you know, they're the only real team showing that level of consistency this season. And if you do that, then, you know, this year when everything's broken up, it seems like the title's destined to go their way.
Yeah. Just before we move on, we've got a couple of questions here. Ben, the football kid, he said, Anfield Agenda, can I subscribe to you?
Of course, buddy. Everybody's welcome over on our channel. Absolutely. Lovely to have you over there.
Yeah, all you need to do is obviously go over to his YouTube channel, Anfield Agenda, and subscribe to their channel. Obviously, they've got Instagram, Twitter, everything. So just go and sign up. They're a fantastic channel. And like I said, Craig does fantastic commentary on the Liverpool games. Not only that, you've got a sister channel where you do other watch-alongs, Craig.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be doing the Man United West Ham FA Cup game tonight. It's called Mundo Sporto. I know it sounds rather exotic, but I promise you there's a story to that name. So I'll share it another day. But yeah, Mundo Sporto, it's Mundo Sporto is our second channel, and I'll be on there tonight doing the watch along United against West Ham.
Excellent. And my dad's saying, Craig, where can we find out about the young child? Is there a page or a link? Yeah,
there's a GoFundMe page, and I think I've retweeted it on the Anfield Agenda and mine, but it's linked to the bottom of all of our videos. So if you go to any of the latest videos on the Anfield Agenda channel, it's in the description of all the streams, and we pin it to the top of the chat as well. But I promise as soon as this is over, I'll post it and pin it to the top of the Anfield Agenda Twitter page.
Yeah, and just tag us in it, and then we can just retweet it all the time and all for you, Craig.
I certainly will.
Let's obviously move on a little bit. So that was I think that's your third home defeat on the trot. Is that right?
Yeah, man. When you go 68 games and you don't lose one, and then you lose to a 3, it's yeah. I mean, it's the manner in which we lost to Manchester City that really hurts me. I mean, yeah, look, you can talk about Brighton, you can talk about 1-0s and whatever, but to lose at home to the team that's coming to take your title off you in the manner that we did, we were humbled. We were played off the park, and we deserved to lose the game. Yeah, there was massive errors, but yeah, it's you know, it is odd because I keep getting people asking me, and again, it's very unfair because everyone's in the same boat. But people say, do you think some of this is because there's no fans inside Anfield? And we know that they help our players massively, but I won't use that as an excuse because everyone's in the same boat. Yeah. I don't know what it is, mate. I can't explain it other than fatigue mentally and physically, because Klopp demands an awful lot of his boys. And we've seen a drop off from City as well last year. Like Pep is the same. He demands an awful lot from his players week in and week out, mentally and physically. And I think this year has just been our year for a bit of a drop-off.
Look, obviously, a couple of Liverpool fans in the chat, even when we do other watch-alongs on Liverpool, we've done Liverpool one, same as you the other day. I mean, they were saying, you know, is it Klopp's tactics? Did he get it wrong? Was it his fault that he's brought two central defenders and didn't play them in that game? What's your opinion of it, Craig?
Yeah, look, I'm a huge fan of Jurgen Klopp, and you know I want him to see out his contract till 2024. But nobody's infallible; everybody makes mistakes. So I can't be a hypocrite and say that when we didn't replace Dejan Lovren in the summer, I honestly thought it was worth the roll of the dice, because I never thought that we'd see our first three centre backs being injured. There were other things as well. We spoke earlier on about Diogo Jota being out for 7 to 8 weeks. Well, that happened in a dead rubber against Midtjylland in the Champions League when we'd already qualified and topped the group, and there was absolutely no need to play him. So there were little moments, little tweaks, maybe little bits of team selections that you could probably be a little bit picky with the manager on. But, you know, at the same time, we have to understand that he's facing a very challenging time at the minute with the players at his disposal. And I love the man. I find it very hard to say. The only thing I ever really criticize him about is the lateness of his substitutions at times, because he's a manager that likes the players to solve problems on the pitch and give them the opportunity to do it. Whereas sometimes I think you're just needed to just pull out and just, like, you know, you see Mourinho at halftime make 2 or 3 changes. Sometimes I think that level of shaking up is needed. But again, mate, I love the man. I mean, he's delivered us a European Cup, a Premier League title, first ever Club World Cup, and a Super Cup as well. So it's very difficult to criticise the man.
We got Claude in, just popped in. How you doing, Claude? Hope you're feeling better, mate.
Yeah, a little bit better. Craig, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, man. Mucker, how are you, sir?
Oh, yeah, struggling along. 3-4 weeks I've been in bed virtually, but I'm getting there. Apparently, I think I've got some sort of a lung infection, apparently, so I've got another bit of medication today. I don't know what's going on with me at the moment, but anyway, never mind me. Craig, I was going to ask you, I think you've been very unlucky this year with, I mean, you've got three centre halves, your 2 top ones are out, yeah. Plus, I think the one that comes in as well is out as well. I don't understand now why Klopp has actually weakened the midfield, which protects the back four, by the way. Which actually protects the back four by putting Henderson and the guy, can't think of his name now, at the back. Yeah, Fabinho at the back. And by weakening the midfield, why doesn't he I mean, you've got a young kid there called Phillips there, haven't you? Is it Phillips?
Yeah, we've Nat Phillips and Reece Williams are the two young lads that he's been rotating.
Wouldn't it be a bit better? At least your midfield would then be stronger, can protect them young kids at the back, and probably wouldn't have got exposed as much. Because even though they're young, I think you could see that Henderson at the back he's got exposed twice on the other day against Man City. He got totally exposed, and if he's playing in his proper position, him and Fabinho in their proper positions, they not only they strengthen the midfield, they also help the front line as well. I don't understand why Klopp didn't do that.
I think it's a mixture of a couple of things. I mean, you are absolutely correct. Having Henderson out of the midfield has stopped us a couple of ways. We defend from the front a lot, so having Henderson there with that press helping the front guys certainly has affected us, and it hasn't allowed Thiago to really get on the front foot as much as we would have liked. But when we have at times tried to play Reece Williams, more so than Nat Phillips, he's been exposed, particularly against young Louis Barry when we played Aston Villa. He was done all ends up there as well. So I think Klopp's decision making was to just try and get some leadership at the back to try and keep that line that we play that high line, and hope that Henderson could almost act as a quarterback from that role. And you're spot on, mate. You can make an argument either way as to why we brought Hendo back, and Fabinho is one of the best sixes in Europe, and he's done a great job at centre back. But you are right. I mean, we could probably have stopped some of the balls getting through by having those two guys in midfield, and certainly defended a lot more from the front. It's been a headache for the manager. It's been difficult for us as fans, but I just find it very hard to criticise the man, Claude, because he's a top guy.
I understand that, Craig. I do understand that, but to be honest with you, everyone is going on about how poorly Liverpool defended the title. But I don't think even Man City, look at Man City when they lost their key defenders last season. They had a bad run. It affects anyone. No top team can cope with their top two centre halves and the backup as well out. No team can cope with that and expect to defend the title. I think it's virtually impossible. And I think that Liverpool are getting a bit too much stick, because I think, to be honest with you, with the injuries that they have had, and with Jota as well, injured as well, the injuries, I think they've done well to be where they are this season.
Yeah, it is amazing that if you think back to, 6 weeks ago, we were about 5 points clear at the top of the league with similar injuries. It's just, it is very difficult, but look, we're the same as every other club. We're a big enough club that you'd hope that we'd have strength and depth. And I don't want to use the injuries because it sounds like we're just making excuses from my end. But I also think, Claude, what we spoke about earlier on with myself and Terry is that, you'll know this yourself, clubs that stay at the top for 3-4 years, the great sides, the Arsenals, the Uniteds, the Barcelonas, they've all had 3-4 years cycles, and maybe it just needs a bit of refreshment now for these lads, because they could be a bit mentally exhausted, and Klopp asks a lot of the players week in and week out.
Yeah, but see what also, it's all very well to win the title is a fantastic achievement. But to defend it, not many teams actually defend it in history, do they? Not many teams do it. And you have to have a really big squad to be able to do that. I don't think Liverpool have got enough in their squad to have defended this title with the injuries that they've had this season. That squad is not big enough to do the defence of the title. I mean, even Arsenal. Let's face it, Arsenal, when they were at their best, they couldn't defend the league title, and they had a big squad. Can you imagine Liverpool now with all these key players out as well, expected to defend the title? It's virtually impossible, mate. That's why I've got a bit of sympathy for you. But I think, as you say, the best thing now is the top four, getting in the top four. I mean, I see Arsenal fans bantering Liverpool fans. I don't know why they're bantering Liverpool fans, because the state we're in at the moment is an absolute joke. But you still got a great chance to be in the top four, and you still got the Champions League, which is a knockout competition. And if you can get a few of these players back, you could possibly still have a good chance of winning that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Leipzig coming up, first leg taking place in Budapest because it can't take place in Germany because of COVID rules. So we look, in all due respect, we should be looking to get through that tie. And then you're into the quarterfinals, Claude. And as you said, mate, it's a knockout tournament. Depending on how the draw goes, anything's possible. So I know this sounds like irony, but if you can look back to our videos and find this out, at the start of the season, people said, what do you want? And I said the Champions League, because like yourself, Claude, I'm old school. I love the European Cup. I remember those nights, and I want, yes, it'd be lovely to equal Manchester United's 20 record, but I've always said, man, give me 7 European Cups over another league title. I just love the European Cup. And I'm not saying we're going to win it, but I'm saying I'm delighted that we're still in there with a shout.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, I can't stay long because my throat is not great at the moment. But all the best, and well done on your channel. And I hope that kid gets the operation done and everything. And I'm sure Terry, you will put that all in the link for him as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, all the best, boys. Speak to you soon. Yeah.
On behalf of all of us, Claude, from our channel, mate, get well soon. Lots of love to you and nothing but respect, pal.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, Claude. Speak to you after, mate. We've got a couple of questions here, Craig, quickly before we move on. Jake, a big Liverpool fan like yourself, he said, can I ask Craig his thoughts on Klopp, as Terry knows mine, losing 3 home games in a row, beaten one of the bottom 7 all season, constantly playing players who are not playing well. Klopp is to blame.
Certainly some decision making is questionable, yes. I mean, I don't understand why when he took Milner off in a game recently when he had a hamstring problem, why he started him in the next game, whereas Curtis Jones was on fire and came on and made a huge difference. So I would have played Curtis Jones. And yeah, look, no, as I said a while ago, nobody's infallible. And I won't say every decision Klopp's made is being correct. But at the same time, everybody has to take responsibility. The players, the staff, the manager, us as fans, we all have to step up in this. And again, I just find it very difficult to be critical of what a group that have given me the best 3-4 years of my life supporting this club.
No, that's fair enough, mate.
Except Origi. Origi can do it.
If anyone ain't seen that little clip of Craig, go and have a look at it because it's brilliant with Origi. Diesel's in the house. He's saying, big up, gents. Love you, Craig. Hope everything is well and keeping safe.
You know I love Diesel. You know I love Diesel. It's my brother from another mother. I absolutely love the man. The second sexiest ball guy out there.
Mark, how you doing, mate? Hope you're well. We said this season is unlike any other. The results bear that. City have taken their time to rip form, but when everything is back to how it should be, normal service will be resumed. Paul and City are streets ahead. United's position backs up what I say.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna lie about this. I don't have a whole lot of respect for Manchester City as a club. I respect their fans. I'll never forget the fans that went down through the divisions with them to Main Road and filled out stadiums week in and week out. So I'll always have admiration for those people. But I just find something a bit, and it could be right back to when Bruno Silva, the shithousery when they gave us the Guard of Honour last year, and when they sang about us when they won the league. There's just something I can't take to. With Manchester United, I hate their club. They hate my club. But there's always a respect, always a begrudging respect behind the scenes. And I think, and again, I don't want this aimed at City fans, but I think the way sometimes that club goes about their things, I think it lacks a little bit of class at times. That's just my opinion. But on the pitch, their manager and their players, phenomenal. And they'll win the league this year and they'll deserve it. And they've done it without Sergio Aguero a lot of the time. They've done it without KDB for the last few weeks. And yeah, you can say they've spent an awful lot of money, but at the same time, they play some damn fine football. I just hope they don't win the European Cup. That's all I can say.
I agree, mate. I agree. Look, I mean, obviously, we talked about Klopp and Liverpool's form and that. Just give us your thoughts, Craig. Obviously, what would you be thinking about him if you do finish outside the top 4?
For the manager, nothing would change with me, nothing whatsoever. I would be more worried about the backing he'd get in the summer and maybe the caliber of player that we'd be able to attract. Now, I suppose while Klopp's there, you're always going to be able to attract, but I would be very worried about the investment that we could potentially not receive in the summer because we need three key positions filled. And look, I'm going to say something that maybe people will agree with, maybe people will disagree with, but it's time for the front 3 to be broken up a little bit. It's time for one of the guys, and I'm not saying who because it's not my place to do, but I think somebody needs a pastures new and we need to go out there and bring in the next one of those front 3 to come in and help Diogo Jota and whoever else remains. But I mean, I can't even bring myself to think about finishing outside the top 4. But as I said at the start, we've no divine right. We're in a fight with everybody else, and the guys have to knuckle down now and start getting back to winning ways. But God, I'd put it this way: I'd rather finish 7th or 8th than 5th or 6th. I'd rather no European football than the Europa League, because I think that would really stunt our ability to challenge for a title next season, or even challenge to get back to the top 4. Having no European football will probably put less stress on the players than Europa League.
So if you wouldn't mind finishing 8th. I mean, obviously you don't want to. Let's get it right. No one wants to finish 8th. But if it come to it, you'd rather finish 8th than go into Europa League, and you'll be happy. You know, you'd be fine with that.
The only positive I could say from playing in the Europa League would be that it would give us a chance to blood maybe Harvey Elliott, maybe some of the younger defenders. And we've seen with Spurs, Harry Kane emerged through their run in the Europa League. And we've seen with Arsenal, some players really show that what they can do in the Europa League as well. So there are some positives to it, but it seems like the Europa League is far more of a distraction to clubs than the Champions League, and it takes far more toll. Maybe it's because there's a lot of more Eastern clubs with longer trips to different parts of Eastern Europe and Thursday, Sunday football constantly. I don't know, but yeah, I'll be honest, I'd rather finish outside all the European places.
I mean, obviously, in some Arsenal fan mentality, finishing 8th after you've just won the Champions League and the league title, they probably would say, because they come out with the fact that you know, Chelsea are a big club, they want to win things, so that's why they changed their managers when things are not going right. So you wouldn't want Liverpool to do that, Craig? You would
no, because
behind
look where we were when Klopp came in. And look where we are now. That's my argument. It's not just investment that's gotten us to where we're. Yes, Michael Edwards, Dave Fallows, the rest of the recruitment team have been phenomenal in what they've done. But it's Jurgen Klopp that ties it all together. It's Jurgen Klopp that turned that team from also-rans into champions. So, second Klopp, it's just not an option. He's a god to us at this moment, and rightly so. And look, there will be some people who might disagree, and there will of course be people who disagree with my statement about the Europa League, and I fully understand and appreciate their replies. But no, man, there's no way that we can contemplate looking at the manager's position after one not even poor season yet. But if it came to the worst, I still couldn't do it. But what I could question, and I understand Liverpool fans questioning, is the way he treats the domestic cups. I can understand Liverpool fans thinking that he doesn't give them enough, but I often wonder, is that due to pressure from those above, because the prize money is nothing compared to the riches of European football?
No, I agree, mate. And what do you think he would have to happen, Craig, for you to want Klopp out? Is there anything that he can do?
For me, I'm fiercely loyal. No, there's very little that the man can do unless he starts turning on his players, which I can never see. I just hope that he gets the chance to start to build his second team, because I think every manager, Wenger, Sir Alex Ferguson, all the great managers in their day have built second teams and they've gone on to success. And I think if Klopp gets that right investment, I think he'll do that. Now, there will come a time, and, you know, when he's at the club in 2024, he'll have been here 8-9 years. You know, that's fair enough. But he's signed on till 2024, and I think the owners love him because he works miracles with small money and gets the best out of the players, and very media friendly, and he attracts a lot of sponsors to the club. And I just love the man. Honestly, I love him to bits.
No, I understand why, mate. He's done a fantastic job. Just quickly, Nim, finishing up on Liverpool, I've got to ask, what was going through Alisson's mind the other night?
Mate, here's what I don't get, okay? So he tried to pass to Fabinho. That it was what we call, us old school, call a hospital pass. And Fabinho just about got the ball back to him. You remember the first thing we were ever taught playing football. If in doubt, put it out. Yeah. Put your foot through the ball. And look, he made one mistake. That happens.
Yeah.
You know, that happens. But to do it a second time, minutes later, when you've already, you're probably, your head's not calm, you're probably jittery, just put it into row Z, or just kick it out for a corner, or just anything. Look, Alisson has been and will be a huge player for us. We wouldn't have won the Champions League without the save he made against Napoli right at the death. That amazing save. So to get us through the group stage, I mean. So look, Alisson had a bad day at the office, but again, he is a vital part of our squad and our spine. And I lost my shit. I lost my mind in the moment, but that happens in the moment. That the moment's over, you calm down and you realize and you appreciate what an impact the man has had on our club, and he'll come back better and stronger.
Yeah, no, he will do. I mean, everyone has a mere game every now and then. So, and what they do before that, keeping you in games, and what he does before that, mate. You know, you just got to suck it, and move on, ain't you? Basically.
I still can't understand it though. Like I genuinely, for someone that's known for their distribution as well, I'll never be able to explain that one away, Terry. Never.
Well, what we'll do is we're finished on Liverpool now, mate, and I just want to quickly touch on the referees and a bit of Arsenal. But before we do that, a great friend of our show, Danny Bear, he's been on. Obviously, we know he's a Spurs fan. We have a lot of banter with him. He's obviously now become a film producer. His new film, Nemesis, will be out on the 29th of March.
Is that with the guy from? Is that with the guy that used to be in the Bill and EastEnders? In it,
yeah,
the London gang. Yes, I've seen that, man. That looks good.
Yeah, well, we're just about to play it again, but you got Bill Murray in it. You got Nick Morgan, Moran, I think is how you pronounce it, who was in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Frank Harper, Jenny Softcott, Julian Glover, Bruce Payne, and obviously Danny himself is in the film. Yeah, he looks absolutely fantastic. It's called Nemesis. It will be out on the 29th of March. You can go and pre-order it now on Amazon, but it will be on Sky Cinema, I think it is, or Sky Showbox, whatever it is, on Sky, and Netflix and all that, I think is going to be on. So, but you can pre-order it now on Amazon. So here's the intro, is the video. Let's watch it now. I'm just going to get it up. It looks absolutely brilliant, like you said, Craig.
Have you always had this much trouble getting it up, Terry? Come on, come on.
What is going on? I'm pressing the wrong button. That's why. Hold up, share. There we go. Here we go. And here it is.
The East End, mate. Everyone round here's got a tall tale to tell about the old gangsters. I've heard them all. The blood, the guts, the glory. To us.
The city we love the most.
In these old stories you used to hear, I don't suppose anyone ever mentioned John Morgan, do they? It's personal. I just want people to know who and what you really are. An Englishman's home is his castle. Your defences are gone, your drawbridge is down. You've been taken over, and you're queen. It must be empty, because all the devils are here. Sometimes in life, if you want to catch the bad guy, you have to become the bad guy. How about that for happy families?
Looks fantastic, Craig. Don't know about yourself, mate.
I'll tell you what, man, I'm watching that. That looks the business. It really does. I love me a gangster film. I really do. I mean, a friend of our family's actually, Big Joe Egan. He used to be a heavyweight boxer. He's in a lot of these British gangster films as well. And I love him, man. I'll be all over that. It looks an absolutely fantastic film.
I love all films like that. You know, all these actors, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, and all films like that. Football Factory, absolutely brilliant. For everyone that, you know, that's been putting in that we will get copyrighted, considering he's one of the directors and he's doing all the advertising and messaged us personally and said that we're allowed to do it. I don't think we will be copyrighted because we've got the permissions from himself and the company themselves, so it's not a problem. Marcus, super chat here, said, would you play one of our new centre backs with Phillips, move Fabinho to midfield to cover them, then, or too risky to start the two new centre backs together? Just yet,
I'd say it's too risky. I would love to see Henderson put into midfield and Kabak put in alongside Fabinho. That's what I was I thought we may have seen against Manchester City, but I think it tells a lot that Ben Davies wasn't even in the squad. I don't think Klopp thinks as of yet he's up to I think match fitness or his squad. But I'd stick with Fabinho at the minute and move Hendo back into midfield and play Kabak.
There you go, Marcus. Let's move on a little bit, Craig. Referees' decisions at the moment,
mate. Look, anyone that watches my channel knows that I've been saying this for a very, very long time. And people just, when you say it when it happens to your club, people say you're just being salty. But I'm not. I've said it. It'll happen to other clubs, and it's happened over and over. These clowns are just, we have the best league, the most funded league, the most watched league in the world. And yet the Premier League take an extra season to implement VAR so they can watch how it unfolds in other leagues. And what do we see now? It's again, the old boys sticking together. And some of this decision-making has been despicable. Now, what I can't condone and won't condone is online abuse towards any of these officials or their families. That is disgusting. But there are a few things that I think can be tweaked here. You know, we'd love to see, I'd love to hear the communication between the VAR room and the referee. I'd like to hear the referee, like, you know, maybe just have, after he looks at the monitor, you know, in American football, just click it for that 1 second, announce what's happening so we can all hear why he's made that decision. And there's a few other little tweaks, but it's ridiculous. I mean, the Souček one was beyond a joke. I mean, I like Mike Dean because he's a funny character in games, but I mean, 2 red cards that have both been overturned, that doesn't, you know, look well.
Look, for me, Craig, I can't understand why in this country our referees are so protected. I mean, why? I've said for years and years now, managers have to come out and after a game and, you know, they get questions on why they've lost that game, on why they've gone for that formation, or why they've picked that player and things like that. Players have had to come out. Why can't the referees afterwards come out, look at the replays again and go through it with us and explain their reason for sending them off still, even though that we're sort of laughing and we can't understand why they've done it. Ex-players don't understand why they've done it. Ex-referees are coming out saying it's never a red card. I mean, why are they so protected in this country, mate?
The answer isn't the sexy one, but it's the honest one. The reason is that they can't prejudice any hearing that may take place from the FA or the Premier League towards an appeal by giving a statement of public opinion. I know, mate. I know it's not an answer that any of us want to hear, but it is the answer. It's the answer that you'll get from the PGMOL. It's the answer that you'll get from who's the guy? Is it Mike Riley that runs the referees in the UK? And you're right. I mean, they should, whether they come out and say something or not, they should certainly be held accountable for these horrendous decisions.
I mean, let's just talk about this Southampton one quickly because you brought that up first. I mean, with Martial, you can clearly see on the screen is even saying it's not even a foul. It's not even a foul. So, I mean, and I just can't understand you've got, I mean, how many referees you've got in Stokely Park looking at this? Is it just 1, 2?
I think if off the top of my head, I think there's 1 in charge with 2 backup officials and maybe a 4th supervisor.
So you've got 4 looking at that replay, and then you've got the referee going over to look at the screen himself. So 5 people have looked at that, and they still give it a red card, even though everyone else can see it's not a red card. Ex-players, pundits, you know what I mean? I just don't get it, Craig.
I don't get it either. I can't make an excuse for it, mate. It is, some of this has just been blatantly ridiculous. You know, there's some red cards that are absolute red cards. Like if you look at the first Southampton red against United, the foul of McTominay, that was assault. Like that was, I think we're all in agreement that was nailed on. But you know, after that,
after the game and all, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah, that was just madness. But there are some, like as we said, we're talking about the Souček one, and we're talking about the second Southampton one of that. It's very, very difficult to defend the red cards, mate. Whatever about giving a penalty for a little bit of contact or whatever, but to give a red card, yeah, I can't defend it. I mean, I don't want to be on here belittling referees, but you're right. For that many people to look at something and come to the wrong conclusion, it's just, And they hide behind it. See, here's what I heard about the Souček one, and I heard this from Dermot Gallagher, I think, on Sky. So apparently, one of the laws is if there's a clenched fist involved, even in an elbow, that's supposed to show that there's power in the elbow. But just because somebody has their hands closed for whatever reason in this scenario, he wasn't trying to get leverage on an elbow. Like, they just come out and say, we made an absolute hames of it, and we're sorry.
Exactly, mate. And I think the thing that makes it worse, like we just said, you've got 4 people looking at on the video at the time, like we're all watching it with the replays. You've got the referee going over to the screen and looking at it. They give the red card, and then you get the FA afterwards looking at the same replays what they're looking at, and then rescind the card. So I mean, I just don't get why. I mean, a lot of people keep saying to me, right? A lot of people keep saying to me, Craig, that it's the letter of the law. Right, it's the letter of the law. If you raise your arm, you know what I mean, it's the letter of the law, blah, blah. But I don't care what the letter of the law is. At the end of the day, you should look at the situation yourself. Obviously, you've got rules in that book for me, and you should follow them rules like a guideline. But you should be able to come to some common sense in your head when you're looking at that replay and say, that's not an elbow.
That you've hit the nail on the head with that one phrase there, mate. They've got the rule book, but they're lacking the common sense. Yeah, they're lacking just that basic ingredient. And I think having an ex-pro in that room would be a great idea. I certainly do. Yeah. Somebody who can say, look, I've been in that position. Sometimes that man can't stop himself there, or there's no intent in that, or and forwards do jump, and you do need your arms to get leverage. But that was I think you even had, if my memory is correct, you had Mitrovic coming across and saying that was never a red card. It's madness.
I don't know. I've got to touch on it. The David Luiz one. What is your thoughts on the David Luiz one, Craig?
David Luiz incident. Which one was this? Sorry, there's been so many incidents, mate. I know he was sent off, but I'm trying to remember the exact. Talk me through it.
Well, when he's running back, basically, who was it? Who was running through? The Wolves player, wasn't it? I can't think of his name. The Wolves player was running through. He got past David Luiz. David Luiz is running back, and basically the Wolves player back leg touches David Luiz's knee.
Oh yes, I remember now. So whatever you think about maybe giving the decision as a foul, to say that it's an intent to stop a goal scoring opportunity, which I think the double jeopardy rule is in there unless it's malicious intent to stop a goal scoring opportunity, which clearly that wasn't, because if it hits Luiz's knee, like, it's not like he put out his foot and clipped his ankle. Exactly. He was just trying to get back goal side. So whatever about you're thinking about a foul, that's one argument, but to send them off, I remember the incident well now, actually, and yes, it was ridiculous. Another one, just another one, mate.
And then you've got Peter Walton on BT Sport as their referee analysis, coming out with so much rubbish. First of all, we said if he chucks himself at him, basically, and brings him down, then he would only get a yellow card. So if he does that with the intent of doing that, he would only get a yellow card. But for doing something accidental that he didn't even go in for a challenge, he can get a red card for. I mean, how does that rule even exist, Craig?
Why do we even need ex-referees who only ever side with referees on, like, Dermot Gallagher on Sky, Peter Walton? They're still in the club. They're still in the closed group of referees. Now they're not. We don't need them. So get rid of them for a start, because there's no need for any of them. But it is ridiculous. You're right. And the handball rule changes every week, and it depends on what part of the pitch you are, and depends if you're an attacker or a defender. Like, we had a goal ruled out. Bobby Firmino hit off his arm. And look, no problem with it being ruled out. It's the letter of the law. But then you see penalties being turned down because apparently a defending player doing the exact same thing, and I'm not saying for us, I mean right across the league, a defending player doing the exact same thing is accidental. But if it happens on the halfway line in the build-up to a goal accidentally, it's ruled out. I mean, it's farcical. And you see fouls given it in other parts of the pitch and not given it a penalty. All we ask for as fans is some level of consistency. Once we know and the players know what the playing field is. I've been an advocate, Terry, for this idea of having referees do a stint in all major European leagues, and having UEFA have a pool of, I don't know, whatever many couple of hundred referees, whatever they need, and sending them to different leagues week in and week out. Now, obviously, during a global pandemic, that won't be possible. But then when you come to European competition, the referees have refereed different styles of football. Players and teams are used to different officiating from different countries and how referees interpret games. And I think overall we'll see a higher tier, higher level of referees with less prejudice.
And just quickly, Peter Walton also said that VAR is not there to get the correct decision.
See, they have this beautiful line, don't they, of clear and obvious that nobody can define. And that they can hide behind whenever they want. Now, that clear and obvious thing, Mike Dean was asked to look at the monitor. So Mike Dean had no intent of doing anything, nor had his linesman any intent of doing anything, I believe, in that scenario where he sent Souček off. So to hide behind the clear, like, when's the clear and obvious error? Like, define it. That's the big question for me. Like, what's clear and obvious? I've seen incidents where the referee's been looking in the direction of something, has seen it, and allowed play to go on, and then all of a sudden, it's clear and it's just an excuse. And until they start letting us hear what's going on, letting us hear those conversations, and showing the proper lines, because you see a fat line and a thin line. I mean, there's been some, like Danny Ings' offside goal that was ruled out recently. I can't remember who it was against. It was right at the end of the game. It would have got them a draw, I think. It was farcical because the line that they had drawn down the backside, it was the arse of the defending player. I think it was actually Villa. If I remember correct, it was Villa. It was the arse of the Villa player that they had the line drawn. And it wasn't even drawn at the end of his arse. It was drawn through half his arse cheek. And yet Danny Ings' line was like somebody got out the thickest Sharpie that they could find and drew the line like. But we're told, oh no, they're not the lines the refs are looking at. They're using it. Well, show us the lines. Show us the goddamn lines you're looking at. It's ridiculous.
I don't get it, mate. I don't, and the thing that pisses me off even more, Craig, is that let's be real. VAR or whatever, video technology, whatever you want, it's been out for years. Other sports have had it for years. American football, NBA, cricket. You know, you can go on. And I rarely ever see when I watch them. I don't watch them, you know what I mean, every week like I do football. But whenever I do and I see it, they hardly ever get a decision wrong, and it's the right decision what they've made. So why can't we get that right in football? I just don't understand.
It's difficult because I think the real problem usually comes with the offside one and these tight decisions. And I still stand over the point that there has to be a margin for error, because I don't think that the cameras are at the frames per second where they can absolutely nail when the ball leaves the player's foot and when is the exact time to freeze frame. I don't think it's there yet. So I think that there should be somewhat of a margin for error, but they will tell you that it's doing its job, but it's doing it too well and it's annoying us fans. And we would disagree. And you are right. In tennis in particular, tennis is actually added to the sport. We all love that moment of, you know, waiting for the call. But the difference is there, it's a black and white situation. It's either in or it's either out. There is no fine line. Whatever happens in football, there's still going to be interpretation and there's still going to be human error and human decision making, which is... it needs to be, I think VAR is here to stay, and I think it has some positive things to do. Like if it's not VAR, but if you look at goal line technology, that's amazing. There's only been maybe one incident I can remember where that's really messed up on it because all the cameras were blocked by so many players in the box. But some things just need to be reevaluated. And look, VAR looks like it'll be here to stay, but I want the man in the middle making the decisions at the end of the day. None of this Stockley Park stuff. I mean, just if the referee misses something, it should be his decision. At the end of the day, I don't like this idea of go and have a look at something. I think unless it's really obvious, like unless somebody's missed a headbutt off the ball or something, just let the ref and the lineouts get on with it. Like, and if they've missed something off the ball that they haven't seen, fair enough. But when you say let's go back to something that you lads missed out on, and you see that the ref and the linesman are right there looking at it, that's too fine a call for me, mate. That's just taking the piss. And it's like they're trying to destroy our own game, because we've often had, let's say, American fans or fans who've grown up watching NFL or NBA or any of these wonderful sports that have a lot of scoring. They're taking away goals, man. They're taking away the thing that makes the sport fun, and they're taking away the moment of celebration.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, the offside rule, I thought they was going to bring in something like, you know, there had to be clear daylight between the defender and the forward. Now, if they do that, like, you know, the same with the ball. It's got to be across the whole line for it to be a goal, or it's got to be a throw-in or a corner or things like that. And they've got that technology there. So why don't they just do something like that?
I believe in the Eredivisie, if my memory is correct, there is a margin for error. So they work in, I don't know what off the top of my head what that margin is, but if it's so close, it goes with the attacking side, as it should. As it should, mate, because... You know, we're talking finite. Nobody's gaining an unfair advantage. And that's what the offside rule is about, by the way. That's the important part that often doesn't get brought up here. It's to stop goal hanging. It's to stop players gaining a brutally unfair advantage. But yet you see the Manchester City goal that got given. And you think to yourself, how on earth is that not gained? Now, look, in fairness, they've went back and they've said going forward that'll change. But, I mean, a millimetre, a toe, that's not an unfair advantage, mate. That's ridiculous.
Exactly, mate. No, you're exactly right. Right, let's leave the referees then. We've got another sort of 10 minutes, Craig. What do you think of Arsenal and Arteta at the moment? How do you think he's doing? Just to get an outside point of view from someone else away from Arsenal, Craig. What's your opinion on it, mate?
It's weird, isn't it? Because sometimes you watch and you think, yep, going in the right direction, and then other times you watch and think, what's going on here? I mean, I think he needs to figure out what his best 11 is, and he needs time, definitely, but he needs to figure out what his best 11 is. And what I do like about Arteta is that he's his own man and he has a pair. You know, he's not afraid to make a bold decision. He's not afraid to leave somebody out, or he's not afraid to move somebody on. Now, of course, I don't see as much Arsenal as you do, and I'm not going to lie and say I watch every Arsenal game, but they lack some creativity, and there's some good talent there. You've got Tierney, you've got Saka, you've got some very good players there. Even Lacazette shown some form in the past month or so, which we thought had gone away. Aubameyang was out for a while, now he's back in. You need to get rid of Xhaka. You need to get rid of... Look, there's some of the old guard there. You need speedier central defenders. I mean, Leno, fair enough. You know, he's doing all right, actually, to be fair. He's not the worst of them. But... Again, I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. I think no matter what man comes into Arsenal, the board need to step up and need to bring in somebody who makes decisions in the best interest of the long term of the football club with regards to transfers.
No, listen, I totally agree. I think we all know that we need to get rid of Shaq. Look, I mean, since Partey's come in, Shaq has been, you know, not too bad. He ain't been as bad as what he has been over the last few years, but he's still not the answer to what we need moving forward. But like you said, we need to move on these players. We got rid of a hell of a lot of players in the January transfer window, Craig. And, you know, it was that core group of winger players and the click players that was obviously causing a lot of mischief backstage and, you know what I mean, letting out a load of news and things like that, especially with Ozil. So, I mean, the transfer window, I thought was one of the greatest ones we've had for a long while, getting rid of these players.
Yeah, I've actually seen that in punditry as well. A lot of people have given credit to Arsenal for moving on these players in the loan window. Mustafi went, Ozil went, and a few others as well. And there is a core group there of good footballers. Like Martinelli's a baller, no denying that. And Nketiah looks like a damn fine forward to me. Saka, I would have had him at Liverpool, no problem whatsoever. Tierney, very good left back. There is a core group there, mate. Another good centre back in there. What I do always question is the loan market and the likes of bringing in players on loan that if they perform well, you know, your club's either over a barrel for the price to buy them or they go off and you're that man down again. But other than that, I think a director of football, somebody to work with Arteta, somebody to make the decisions on the Arsenal philosophy that's going to live past the next 2-3 managers and look long-term for the club with signings. It does baffle me because a very big club that was used to success, and we said football is cyclical, but I think there's been a bad decision after bad decision on the managerial front. And look, Arteta needs time. We've seen it with Klopp. It took 2-3 years.
I couldn't disagree with you more. Sorry, I couldn't agree with you more, Craig. I think it's exactly that. I think it's, you know, for me personally, we've been going backwards for 16 years. You know what I mean? The players that we was left with when Wenger left us was atrocious. Let's be honest. Our squad on a whole was atrocious. I mean, and then obviously Emery come in and he didn't really get any players in, really. I mean, obviously we can Tierney come in and that, but he was injured, so we didn't really get to see him under Emery. My only problem is at the moment we've got some great players, like you said, Craig, but they seem to be picking injuries up every single. You know what I mean? They play 3 games and then they're out for 3 games, so we can't seem to be able to pick our best 11 because we've always got to change because of injuries, mate.
Not getting any sympathy from me on injuries, pal. None.
I know that.
I'm only winding you up. Yeah, look, it is. It takes time. Even Solskjaer now at United, starting to gain some confidence with the players, picking his own team, learning his best 11, learning who he can trust, who he can't trust, moving out the players that he doesn't believe in. And that's what it takes. A manager needs the belief that he's going to get that 3 years, 2-3 years to get his job done. At least 4 or 5 transfer windows with some backing. And look, I genuinely believe Arsenal should be doing better than they are, and I think that they will. They will eventually. It's going to be difficult because there's been huge investment in Chelsea, huge investment in Spurs. Yeah. We're doing well. United are coming back in. Villa are pushing really well. It's more difficult than ever, mate, to get into these European places. And clubs. If there's one thing that football owners understand, it's the bottom line, and when they see the bottom line keeps dropping, they're going to learn they have to invest, I think, long term. Yeah,
no, I totally agree, mate. Totally agree. I know you're strapped for time, Craig, so I just want to say, look, thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely, no bother, mate. Look forward to it.
Obviously, we'll just go over the results. There was obviously. This is our first time, so we got into deep with Liverpool this time and a little bit of Arsenal. Next week, we can look at the results and go over them and see how every team are moving forward, mate. But I just want to say thank you very much, mate. We really do appreciate you coming on. Claude and the banstas, we love you. You and Connor, I mean, you helped us from the start. And I just want to say how brilliant you're doing as a person, and obviously Anfield Agenda. You're doing absolutely fantastic. Every time I look, your subs are going through the roof, and I think I'm seeing your face more than I'm seeing my wife when I pick up my phone, mate. So it's quite nice.
Yeah, I'll stop sending you those nudes, mate. Sorry.
Nah, brilliant, mate. And look, you have a great week, good weekend, mate. And I'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you, buddy, and love to Diesel and all the gang as well. And pass my best on to Claude again. And thank you for having me on, Terry.
No problem, mate. No problem. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Hope you all have a great night. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock again. Thanks a lot. See you soon.